Hi, I'm Bonnie Canziani at the Bryan School of Business and Economics in UNC Greensboro, and I'm going to talk a little bit about cross-listing, a course that typically is offered to the business school students and the hospitality and tourism students where I work, and cross-listed now with entrepreneurship. This course is service management, and we'll see that in order to cross-list it, we looked at trying to develop some unique learning objectives that would be appropriate to help students that wanted to work in small businesses understand service management and customer service from the perspectives of small businesses and startup businesses, because it is somewhat different from operating customer service systems in large companies. When we look at these three objectives, we try to distinguish service management in a way that would be useful for students in small and medium-sized businesses. And the first objective that was developed was to summarize the unique challenges involved in managing and marketing services for small and large businesses. The second objective is to apply service marketing concepts to develop marketing strategies and techniques to promote small and startup businesses. And lastly, we want to evaluate how service management strategies can help small businesses achieve success. So one of the things I want to mention is that this particular set of learning goals was important to develop in a way that differentiated this course from other typical entrepreneurship classes. So we had to find unique learning objectives that would make sense in the context of service management. So we weren't doing the same thing, the business planning and other activities that many of the entrepreneurial courses would be doing. Okay, I'd like to go through each of the learning objectives with you. The first one, again, summarized the unique challenges involved in managing customer service for small businesses. Well, what we find is that this was relatively low in terms of the cognitive processing, the Bloom's category, but very important to situate the fact that service management is different between large and small businesses. And the learning objective is met or assessed through a combination of readings, lecture and discussion with the students, and test questions. When we look at some of the things that we know about customer service and customer relationship management in today's world, the big businesses are all about big data and managing that, and trying to understand what the cost of quality is to their systems and to offer some type of incentive for customers to stay with them and be repeat customers and provide good word of mouth to other customers that might come in. But when you start looking at small businesses, they don't necessarily have those deep pockets to develop very sophisticated customer relationship management systems. So they have to look at workarounds or other unique alternatives, and we focus on that in this particular learning objective. When we start looking at the reality of small and medium enterprises, we see that they don't necessarily have a lot of service staff who are trained in the modern advanced technologies around customer service, data analysis, and instant or seamless responses. So they have to go into the idea of customer service from a different avenue and look at what they can do on a timely basis to retain their customers. And oftentimes when you start looking at small businesses, you see that the owner or the operator becomes a central figure rather than the customer service staff who are trained to handle customer issues. And the owner has to be more visible and caring in a small and medium-sized enterprise or company than perhaps the owners of very large companies or the CEOs of large companies are going to be. When you look at the second objective, you see that we have the goal of applying service marketing concepts to develop marketing strategies to promote small and startup businesses. And this SLO, or Student Learning Objective, is met through a combination of readings, lecture discussion, and small case problem solving. What we have here are a hard look at what those workarounds I mentioned earlier are for small businesses, so they can look at what they're doing strategically with a minimum of perhaps money investment and a minimum of time investment, because they are busy individuals growing their companies. And we have seen that some of the examples out there of successful small business strategies for customer service and service management include the following: membership clubs and email newsletters. So small businesses in many sectors can develop this sense of family amongst their customers by creating newsletters and email lists and getting them to join membership clubs for incentives and coupons and other discounts on the products and services they provide. Story-based websites and mobile marketing. Interestingly, a lot of the websites that you see play up the idea that small businesses are family-like, and that the owners and the operators are very visible and human beings. And so they're really about making that connection and adding you as a customer to the family, and using websites and other means of communication to do that. The other thing that we talk about is that with mobile technology, it kind of evens the playing field. A lot of small businesses are now getting into some of the mobile platforms that are letting people use their smartphones and other tablets and so forth in a very wireless fashion to order and to attain whatever they want from the companies. Also, we see a lot of owner-operator networking and visibility. As I mentioned, these people have to be much more visible in the small and medium-sized enterprises than they usually are in the large companies. And local community building and service efforts is a very big piece of how small businesses are looking to increase their commitment to customers and to visibly offer to communities help, a helping hand. It may be charity work, it may be other things that employees and owners and operators are doing in the community. But this is an important piece of being viewed as customer friendly. And we see that a lot in small and medium enterprises. And the last student learning objective that we have is to evaluate how service management concepts or service gaps can actually contribute to startup businesses or increase the success of small businesses. This is interesting because what it says is service management is a field that is very relevant to all businesses, no matter what the size is, but you have to look at and see whether or not there are certain service gaps that it takes a small business to start up and fill that gap. So when you start looking at how we measure and assess this student learning objective, this one we try to do in a more traditional entrepreneurship way, where we do more creative thinking about what are the service gaps out there in any industry that the students might be interested in, and to what extent can we create small businesses to close those service gaps in creative ways. Small businesses have opportunities to develop new business concepts based on the following existing service gaps in the field. For example, making delivery more convenient. We know that we have now certain little businesses that develop mobile services, mobile dog grooming, mobile health vans that go around to communities and actually take the services right into the communities where they're needed. We also see that increasing self-service options, which is a typical strategy that we look at in big businesses, can become an actual company. For example, small book publishers that are using technology now to get people to self-publish or publish more rapidly than waiting for an agent to get a contract through a large book publisher. Offering highly customized products. When we see training and other kinds of services, people are coming together in unique ways. Uber, for example. People just saying, I'm here, I've got a car, I'm willing to drive you, and being very customized, you know, popping out where you are, picking you up and taking you where you need to be. And also the idea of training and developing any kind of customized product. Small businesses are much more flexible in working with clients in that way because they can listen to the client in a way that perhaps large company teams can't do because they have to make certain objectives at the end of the month or the year. And increasing access to variety. For example, large companies may not see the margin be viable to bring in new or international products or creative products or even sustainable products, whereas small companies are a little bit more flexible and might create a niche for themselves and develop those markets as their main business. And so the customer benefits by having more access to a variety of products. So, in short, I'd like to just summarize some of the lessons learned from taking the service management class to this next level of looking at large and small businesses and startups. The primary lessons learned from cross-listing service management through the Coleman Grant were leveraging the uniqueness of the service management academic knowledge base to avoid replicating traditional entrepreneurship instruction learning goals. So we tried to differentiate this course from what was going on in entrepreneurship courses in general. Thinking critically about the differences between large and small businesses in managing services and understanding those limitations of time and money that small businesses have when they're trying to serve the customer and retain those customers for life. And lastly, understanding the significant opportunities for small business creation embedded in existing service gaps. If you find a gap, there might be a business right behind it to close that gap and create a successful entrepreneur. Thank you very much.